Lucy wiped her nose with the back of her small hand as she knelt beside Lyly, her orange tabby cat who hadn't moved from the kitchen floor in over an hour. The 7-year-old's heart pounded so hard she could hear it in her ears. Something was really wrong. "Lyly, please wake up," she whispered, gently touching the cat's warm fur. Lily's breathing was shallow and fast, nothing like the deep, peaceful breaths Lucy was used to hearing when her pet napped in sunny spots around the house. The apartment felt too quiet. Grandma Rose was taking her afternoon rest upstairs, and Lucy knew better than to wake her. Grandma had been extra tired lately, and the doctor said she needed lots of sleep to feel better. But this was different. This was scary. Lucy had never seen Lyly like this before. The cat who usually greeted her at the door after school, who purred loudly during their evening cuddle sessions, who chased toy mice across the living room floor, now lay completely still except for those worrying little breaths. "What do I do? What do I do?" Lucy said to herself, starting to panic. She remembered what Grandma Rose always told her about emergencies. "If something bad happens and I can't help, you call for help right away, sweet girl. Don't wait." Lucy ran to the kitchen counter where Grandma's old phone sat charging. Her hands shook as she picked it up. The numbers on the screen looked blurry through her tears. She needed to call 911, but where was it? Grandma had shown her before, but everything looked different when she was scared. She scrolled through the contacts list, reading each name carefully. Mrs. Chen from next door, Dr. Williams, pizza place, library. Her fingers moved faster as panic set in. Where was the emergency number? Then she saw it, a contact that just said emergency Mike C. That had to be it, right? Grandma must have saved the emergency number with a name so Lucy could find it easier. Her small finger pressed the number before she could think twice. The phone rang once, twice, 3 times. "Please answer." "Please answer," Lucy whispered. On the 4th ring, a man's voice came through the speaker. "Hello? Help!" Lucy burst into tears. "Please help me. My Lyly is passing and I don't know what to do." "Whoa, slow down there," the voice said gently. "What's your name, sweetheart?" "Lucy. My cat Lyly is sick and she won't wake up and Grandma is sleeping and I'm scared." The words tumbled out between sobs. There was a pause on the other end. Lucy could hear voices in the background like the man was in a room full of people. "Okay, Lucy. My name is Mike and I want to help you. Can you tell me what's wrong with Lyly? She's lying on the kitchen floor and she won't get up. She's breathing funny and her eyes look weird and I think she might die." Lucy's voice got higher with each word. "I need you to take a deep breath for me, okay? In and out, nice and slow." Mike's voice was calm and steady. "You're being very brave by calling for help." Lucy tried to breathe like he said, but her chest felt tight. "Now where are your parents, Lucy?" "I live with Grandma Rose. Mom and Dad went to heaven when I was little." Lucy sniffled. "Grandma is upstairs sleeping and the doctor said not to wake her up unless it's really, really important." "This sounds really important to me," Mike said softly. "But let's focus on Lyly first. Is she breathing?" Lucy looked down at her cat. "Yes, but it's fast in little breaths. Not like normal. That's good information. Has Lyly been eating and drinking today?" "I don't think so. Yesterday too. I put food out, but she didn't eat it." Lucy realized she'd been so worried about starting 2nd grade next week that she hadn't paid enough attention to Lily's strange behavior. "Lucy, I want you to stay on the phone with me, okay? Don't hang up. I'm going to help you, but I need to make another call real quick. Can you stay right there with Lyly? You're not going to leave me, are you?" The fear in Lucy's voice was clear. "I promise I'm not going anywhere. I'm going to help you and Lyly. Just give me 1 minute." Lucy heard Mike talking to someone else, but she couldn't understand what he was saying. The words were too fast and too grown up. She sat down on the cold kitchen floor next to Lyly and gently stroked her soft fur. "I called someone for help, Lucy." Mike's voice came back. "A nice lady who knows all about helping sick cats." "What's your address?" Lucy recited the address just like Grandma had taught her. She knew her full address, her phone number, and Grandma's full name by heart. "Perfect. Now, Lucy, I know this is scary, but animals get sick sometimes just like people do. The important thing is that you recognize something was wrong and you called for help. That's exactly what you should do." "Is Lyly going to be okay?" Lucy asked in a small voice. "I don't know yet, but we're going to do everything we can to help her feel better. The lady I called is really good at helping cats. She's helped lots of cats feel better." Lucy heard a noise outside, a car door slamming. Then footsteps on the stairs leading to their apartment. Is that you? She asked Mike. No, sweetie, but that might be someone coming to help. Don't open the door unless they tell you they're here to help Lyly, okay? A gentle knock came at the door. Lucy? My name is Dr. Kim. Mike sent me to help Lyly. Lucy looked through the peephole like Grandma taught her. She saw a woman in a white coat holding a big bag. There's a lady here who says you sent her, Lucy told Mike. That's right. Dr. Kim is the cat helper I told you about. You can let her in. Lucy opened the door slowly. The woman had kind eyes and a warm smile. Hi, Lucy. I'm here to take a look at Lyly. Is that her on the kitchen floor? Lucy nodded and led Dr. Kim to where Lyly lay. The doctor immediately knelt down and opened her bag, pulling out a small device. Lucy, I'm still here. Mike's voice came from the phone. Dr. Kim is going to examine Lyly now. You're doing great. Will you stay on the phone until we know if Lily's okay? Lucy asked. Of course I will. I'm not going anywhere. As Dr. Kim gently examined Lyly, Lucy held the phone tight against her ear. She didn't understand how Mike knew a cat doctor, or why he was being so nice to someone he'd never met. But right now she was just grateful that someone was helping. For the first time since finding Lyly on the floor, Lucy felt like maybe everything might be okay. Mike stared at his phone for a moment after ending another quick call with his assistant. Around the large conference table, 12 of the most important people in his company sat waiting. They had been in the middle of discussing a deal worth millions of dollars when his phone rang. Any other day, he would have let it go to voicemail. His personal phone never rang during board meetings unless it was a real emergency. But something about the little girl's voice had stopped him cold. Sir? His assistant, Jennifer, stood by the door looking confused. Should I reschedule the Tokyo call? Mike looked around the room at the puzzled faces staring back at him. These people had flown in from 3 different countries for this meeting. Contracts were waiting to be signed. Millions of dollars hung in the balance. Give me 5 minutes, he said, standing up from his chair. Something important came up. A few people shifted uncomfortably. In 10 years of working together, Mike had never walked out of a board meeting. Not once. Mike, his business partner David, called after him. The Tokyo people won't wait. If we don't sign today... 5 minutes, Mike repeated, already heading for the door. In the hallway, Mike pressed the phone back to his ear. He could hear Dr. Kim's gentle voice talking to Lucy in the background. Lucy? I'm still here. How's Lyly doing? Dr. Kim says Lyly is dehydrated. That means she doesn't have enough water in her body. She's putting something under Lily's skin to help her feel better. Mike could hear the relief starting to creep into Lucy's voice, but he also heard something else. The sound of an older woman coughing upstairs. Lucy, is that your grandma? Yeah, she's awake now. I think all the talking woke her up. She's coming downstairs. Mike heard footsteps on stairs, then an older woman's voice filled with concern. Lucy? Baby, what's going on? Who are these people? Mike listened as Lucy explained everything to her grandmother. He heard the confusion in the older woman's voice, the worry, and then something that made his chest tight. Honey, I don't understand. You called 911 and they sent a veterinarian to our house? That doesn't sound right. There was a pause, then Dr. Kim's voice explaining who she was and how she'd gotten there. Mike closed his eyes, realizing what had happened. Lucy, he said into the phone. Can I talk to your grandma for a minute? Grandma Rose, the nice man on the phone wants to talk to you. Mike heard the phone being passed, then a cautious voice. Hello, who is this? Ma'am, my name is Mike Chen. Your granddaughter called my phone thinking it was 911. She was scared about her cat being sick. Oh my goodness. Rose's voice was embarrassed. I'm so sorry. Lucy must have gotten confused. We'll pay for the vet visit, of course. I just need to figure out how... No, please don't worry about that, Mike said quickly. I called Dr. Kim because Lucy needed help. That's what matters. But sir, we can't accept charity. We don't even know you. Mike could hear the pride in her voice. The same kind of stubborn independence his own grandmother had shown when she raised him after his parents died. It's not charity, Mike said gently. Sometimes people just help each other. That's all this is. Through the phone, he could hear Dr. Kim explaining Lily's condition. The cat was going to be fine, but she needed fluids and medicine for a few days. The thing is, Dr. Kim was saying, Lyly should really stay somewhere for observation tonight. I can take her to my clinic, or if you prefer, I could set up some equipment here and check on her a few times. Mike heard Rose take a shaky breath. How much would that cost? Before Dr. Kim could answer, Mike spoke up. Dr. Kim, whatever Lyly needs, just take care of it. We'll work out the details later. Sir, Rose's voice was firm now. I can't let you pay for our cat's medical bills. You don't even know us. Mike found himself smiling. I'm sorry, what's your last name? Martinez. Rose Martinez. Mrs. Martinez, can I tell you something? When I was about Lucy's age, my cat got sick too. My grandmother and I didn't have much money, and I was terrified we'd lose him. A neighbor helped us, someone we barely knew. He said something I never forgot. Mike paused, remembering Mr. Thompson from his old neighborhood. He told me that kindness isn't about keeping score. It's about helping when you can, because someday you might need help too. That's very sweet, but, Mrs. Martinez, I run a big company. I have more money than I know what to do with. But I don't have what you have. What do you mean? Mike looked back toward the conference room where important people were waiting for him to make important decisions about important money. None of it felt important right now. I don't have a granddaughter who loves her cat so much she'd call a stranger for help. I don't have someone who needs me the way Lucy needs you. There was silence on the other end of the phone. Lucy, Mike said. Are you still there? Yes, Lyly is looking a little better. Dr. Kim gave her some water with a tiny needle, and now she's trying to sit up. That's wonderful news. Can you put the phone on speaker so all three of you can hear me? Okay. Lucy's voice sounded small but hopeful. I want to be honest with all of you. I'm not a paramedic or a police officer. I'm just a businessman who happened to answer his phone when a scared little girl called for help, and I'm really glad I did. But how did Lucy get your number? Rose asked. Mike thought about this. Mrs. Martinez, do you remember going to a charity dinner at the convention center about 6 months ago? It was for the Children's Hospital. Oh yes. I won a ticket in a raffle at church. It was such a fancy event. I felt a little out of place. I was there too. I think I might have given you my card when we talked about your work at the senior center. You probably saved it in your phone. Oh my. Yes, I remember now. You were so kind asking about my volunteer work. I never imagined. Mike heard Jennifer's voice behind him. The Tokyo people were getting impatient. The board members were checking their watches. Millions of dollars were slipping away with every minute he stayed in this hallway. He looked at his reflection in the window at the end of the hall. When was the last time he'd done something that really mattered? When was the last time he'd helped someone who actually needed it, instead of just moving money around? Dr. Kim, Mike said into the phone, what does Lyly need for a full recovery? A few days of fluids, some antibiotics, and monitoring. I'd estimate about $300 total. Mike almost laughed. $300. He spent more than that on lunch yesterday. Mrs. Martinez, I'm going to ask you something, and I want you to think about it before you answer. Okay. What if this isn't about charity? What if this is about something else entirely? 20 minutes later, Mike stood outside the small apartment building, looking up at the faded red brick and wondering what he was doing. His driver had given him strange looks when he'd asked to be taken to this neighborhood instead of back to his office. The board meeting was probably still going on without him. David was likely making excuses to the Tokyo investors. None of that seemed to matter right now. He climbed the narrow stairs to the second floor and knocked gently on apartment 2B. Through the door, he could hear voices and what sounded like a cat meowing softly. The door opened slowly, and he found himself looking down at Lucy. She was smaller than he'd imagined, with curly brown hair pulled back in a messy ponytail and tear stains on her cheeks, but her eyes were bright and curious as she studied his face. Are you Mike? She asked simply. I am. Are you Lucy? She nodded and opened the door wider. Grandma Rose says it's okay to let you in because Dr. Kim knows you. Mike stepped into the small apartment and immediately felt like he'd entered a different world. The living room was tiny but spotless, with hand-crocheted doilies on every surface and family photos covering one entire wall. The furniture looked old but well cared for, and everything smelled like cinnamon and vanilla. Mr. Chen, an older woman, appeared from the kitchen, wiping her hands on a dish towel. She was petite with gray hair pinned back neatly, wearing a simple blue dress and an expression of nervous politeness. I'm Rose Martinez. Thank you so much for coming, though I still don't understand why you did. Mike found himself at a loss for words. In business, he always knew exactly what to say. He could negotiate million-dollar deals without breaking a sweat. But standing in this warm little apartment facing this grandmother and her granddaughter, he felt completely out of his element. To be honest, Mrs. Martinez, I'm not entirely sure either. I just knew I had to come. Dr. Kim emerged from the kitchen, closing her medical bag. Lyly is responding well to the fluids. Her color is better and she's more alert. She should make a full recovery with proper care. Can I see her? Lucy asked, bouncing on her toes. Of course. She's resting on a soft blanket by the window. Lucy disappeared into the kitchen and Mike could hear her talking softly to her cat. You scared me so much, Lyly, but you're going to be okay now. Rose gestured for Mike to sit on the small sofa. Can I get you some coffee or water? Coffee would be nice, thank you. As Rose busied herself in the kitchen, Mike looked around the room more carefully. The photos on the wall told a story. He saw pictures of Lucy as a baby, held by a young couple who must have been her parents. There were school photos showing Lucy's gap-toothed smile growing more confident each year. And scattered throughout were pictures of Rose at various ages, always with family, always smiling. Those are my parents, Lucy said, appearing beside him and pointing to a large photo in the center of the wall. They're in heaven now, but Grandma says they're still watching over us. They look like very nice people, Mike said softly. They were. Daddy made me laugh all the time and Mommy sang lullabies when I couldn't sleep. Now Grandma does that. Rose returned with a steaming mug of coffee and sat across from Mike. Lucy, why don't you go check on Lyly again? Make sure she's comfortable. When Lucy was out of earshot, Rose leaned forward. Mr. Chen, I need you to understand something. We're not charity cases. Lucy's parents left a small insurance policy, and I have my Social Security. We get by just fine. Mike nodded, recognizing the fierce pride in her voice. It reminded him of his own grandmother, who had worked 3 jobs to raise him but never complained. I can see that. Mrs. Martinez, your home is beautiful and Lucy is clearly well loved and cared for. Then why are you here? Really? Mike set down his coffee mug and thought about how to answer. Can I tell you about my grandmother? Rose nodded. Her name was Helen. She raised me after my parents died in a plane crash when I was 8. We lived in a tiny apartment not much bigger than this one. She worked at a diner during the day and cleaned offices at night, but we were happy. She sounds like a wonderful woman. She was. But she was also proud, just like you. When I got sick once and needed medicine we couldn't afford, she almost didn't accept help from our neighbor. She said we didn't take handouts. Rose shifted uncomfortably. I understand that feeling. Mr. Thompson, our neighbor, told her something that changed how I think about helping people. He said that accepting help when you need it isn't about being weak. It's about letting other people be kind. And that kindness goes both ways. What do you mean? Mike glanced toward the kitchen where Lucy was sitting on the floor next to Lyly, reading her a story from a picture book. When Lucy called me today, I was in the most important business meeting of the year. But the moment I heard her voice, nothing else mattered. She gave me something I didn't even know I was missing. What's that? A chance to help someone who really needed it. Not because it would make me money or make me look good, but just because it was the right thing to do. Rose was quiet for a moment, watching her granddaughter through the kitchen doorway. Lucy's had a hard couple of years, she said finally. Losing her parents, adjusting to living with me, starting at a new school. But she's resilient. Stronger than she knows. I can see that. She handled today's crisis better than most adults would have. She loves that cat more than anything. Lyly was a gift from her parents for her 5th birthday, right before the accident. In some ways, Lyly is her last connection to them. Mike felt his chest tighten. No wonder Lucy had been so frightened. Dr. Kim joined them in the living room. I've left some medication for Lyly and written down instructions for her care. She should be completely back to normal in a few days. Thank you so much, Rose said. Now about the bill. Already taken care of, Dr. Kim said with a smile. Mr. Chen has an account with our clinic. Rose turned to Mike with a look that was part gratitude, part frustration. Mr. Chen, this is too much. I can't let you pay for everything. Mike stood up. Mrs. Martinez, can I ask you something? Of course. If you saw a little girl crying on the street because she'd lost her lunch money, why? What would you do? I'd give her money for lunch, of course. Even if you didn't know her? Well, yes, but that's different. How is it different? Rose opened her mouth to answer, then closed it again. Sometimes, Mike said gently, the best thing we can do is let people help us. It makes them happy. And it teaches children like Lucy that the world is full of good people who care about each other. Lucy appeared in the doorway, carrying Lyly in her arms. The cat looked much better, her eyes brighter and her breathing normal. Look, Grandma, Lyly wants to say thank you to Mr. Mike. Mike reached out and gently stroked the cat's soft fur. Lyly purred weakly but contentedly. "You're very welcome, Lyly," he said seriously. "I'm glad you're feeling better," Lucy beamed at him. "Dr. Kim says you have lots of cats at your house," Mike laughed. "I wish I did, but I don't have any pets. I travel too much for work." "That's sad," Lucy said with the honest sympathy only children can express. "Everyone should have a pet to love." As Mike looked into Lucy's sincere brown eyes, he realized she was absolutely right. 3 days later, Mike found himself doing something he'd never done before. He was sitting in his office, but instead of focusing on spreadsheets and conference calls, he was thinking about a little girl and her cat. Dr. Kim had called that morning with an update. Lyly was doing wonderfully and would be completely healthy soon. But something in the vet's voice had caught Mike's attention. "Is there something else?" he'd asked. "Well, it's not really my place to say anything, but when I went to check on Lyly yesterday, I noticed a few things." "What kind of things?" Rose was rationing Lily's medicine, giving her smaller doses to make it last longer. When I asked about it, she said they needed to be careful with money until her next Social Security check. Mike had felt his stomach tighten. "What else?" "Lucy mentioned that they'd been eating a lot of peanut butter sandwiches lately, and I noticed some medical bills on the kitchen counter. Big ones." After hanging up, Mike had tried to focus on work, but his mind kept wandering back to the small apartment with the cinnamon smell and the wall of family photos. Now, at 4 o'clock on a Thursday afternoon, he made a decision that would have shocked his business partners. He canceled his remaining meetings and asked his driver to take him back to the Martinez apartment. Rose answered the door with surprise written across her face. "Mr. Chen, what are you doing here?" "I was in the neighborhood," he said, which wasn't entirely true. "I thought I'd check on Lyly." Rose hesitated for a moment, then stepped aside to let him in. "Lucy's at school, but she'll be home soon. Lily's doing much better, thanks to you." Mike entered the familiar living room, but this time he noticed things he'd missed before. The thermostat was set very low despite the cool weather. There were gaps on the shelves where items used to sit, suggesting things had been sold. And on the kitchen counter, partially hidden under a dish towel, he could see the corner of what looked like medical bills. "Mrs. Martinez, can we talk?" Rose poured him coffee from a pot that looked like it had been used to make many cups throughout the day, probably to stretch the coffee grounds. She sat across from him with the careful politeness of someone who was used to hiding her worries. "Dr. Kim mentioned that you're managing Lily's medicine carefully," Mike said gently. Rose's cheeks flushed pink. "Lily's getting better. She doesn't need as much now. And she mentioned that Lucy said you've been eating a lot of peanut butter sandwiches." "Lucy loves peanut butter," Rose said quickly. "It's her favorite." Mike leaned forward. "Mrs. Martinez, I'm not here to judge or interfere. I'm here because I care about Lucy and you, and because I think we might be able to help each other." "What do you mean?" Before Mike could answer, the sound of small footsteps echoed in the hallway outside. The door burst open and Lucy bounded in, her school backpack bouncing behind her. "Grandma Rose, guess what happened at school today?" She stopped short when she saw Mike. "Mr. Mike!" "You came back." "Hi, Lucy, how was school?" "It was good, but I was worried about Lyly all day." "Can I go see her?" "Of course, sweetie," Rose said. "She's sleeping in the sunshine by the kitchen window." Lucy dropped her backpack and rushed to the kitchen. Mike could hear her talking softly to her cat, telling Lyly about her day at school. "She does that every day," Rose said with a fond smile. "Tells Lyly everything that happened like the cat understands every word." "Maybe she does," Mike said. "Animals are smarter than we give them credit for." They sat in comfortable silence for a moment, listening to Lucy's chatter from the kitchen. "Mrs. Martinez, can I ask you something personal?" Rose nodded carefully. "Are you having trouble making ends meet?" Rose's hands twisted in her lap. "We're managing." "That's not what I asked." Rose was quiet for a long moment. When she spoke, her voice was barely above a whisper. "Lucy's parents had some debts when they died. Medical bills from the accident. I've been paying them off slowly, but it's been harder than I expected." "What about your own medical expenses? How did you—" Rose stopped and sighed. "Dr. Kim noticed the bills, didn't she?" Mike nodded. "I have diabetes. The medication is expensive, even with Medicare. Sometimes I have to choose between my medicine and Lucy's needs." Rose looked toward the kitchen where Lucy was still talking to Lyly. "Lucy always comes first." "Mrs. Martinez, what if I told you I had a proposition?" "What kind of proposition?" Mike had been thinking about this since Dr. Kim's call. "I travel a lot for business. sometimes for weeks at a time. I've been thinking about getting a pet, but it wouldn't be fair to leave an animal alone that much. Rose looked confused. I don't understand. What if I hired you to take care of my pets? When I travel, they'd need someone to feed them, play with them, make sure they're happy and healthy. Mr. Chen, that's very kind, but you don't have any pets. Mike smiled. Not yet, but I've been thinking that Lucy was right. Everyone should have a pet to love. Maybe it's time I got some. You want to hire me as a pet sitter? More than that. I want to hire you as a full-time pet caregiver, someone who really loves animals and understands how to take care of them. The pay would be enough to cover your medical expenses and Lucy's needs. Rose stared at him. Mr. Chen, you can't just create a job for me because you feel sorry for us. I'm not creating anything. I really do need help, and you really are the right person for the job. Lucy proved that when she took such good care of Lyly. She learned that from you. But we don't know anything about you, and you don't really know us. Then let's get to know each other better. Would you and Lucy like to have dinner with me this weekend? We could talk about it more. Lucy appeared in the doorway, holding Lyly gently in her arms. Talk about what? Mr. Mike wants to have dinner with us, Rose said. Lucy's eyes lit up. Really, can we, Grandma Rose? Please, I don't know, sweetie. We'd have to find someone to watch Lyly. Actually, Mike said, I was hoping Lyly could come too. I'd like to get to know her better since she's such an important member of your family. You want our cat to come to dinner? Lucy asked, hardly believing it. Why not? If we're going to be friends, I should meet everyone who's important to you. Lucy looked at her grandmother with pleading eyes. Rose looked at Mike with a mixture of gratitude and uncertainty. Mrs. Martinez, Mike said quietly. Sometimes the best opportunities come from the most unexpected places, just like sometimes the most important phone calls come from wrong numbers. Rose was quiet for a moment. Then she looked at Lucy's hopeful face and made her decision. Okay, she said. We'll have dinner with you, but I'm cooking. You've done enough for us already, Mike grinned. Deal, but I'm bringing dessert. What kind of dessert? Lucy asked excitedly. What's your favorite?
Chocolate cake.
Then chocolate cake it is. As Mike prepared to leave, Lucy tugged on his sleeve. Mr. Mike, are you really going to get pets? I think so, Lucy. What kind do you think I should get? Lucy considered this very seriously. Maybe a cat like Lyly, and a dog too, so they can be friends, and maybe some fish. That sounds like a lot of responsibility. That's okay, Lucy said confidently. Grandma Rose and I are really good at taking care of things we love. Looking at the little girl with the bright eyes and the gentle way she held her cat, Mike had no doubt that was true. 3 months had passed since that panic-filled phone call, and Mike's life had changed in ways he never could have imagined. His modern downtown apartment, which had once been perfectly quiet and spotless, now echoed with the sounds of life. A golden retriever named Buddy barked happily as Mike walked through the door after work. In the corner, a gray tabby cat named Luna stretched lazily in a patch of sunlight. The fish tank near the window bubbled peacefully, home to a collection of tropical fish that Lucy had helped him pick out. But the biggest change wasn't the pets. It was the framed photos now scattered around his apartment. Lucy grinning gap-toothed next to Buddy. Rose laughing as Luna tried to steal her knitting yarn. All three of them crowded together on his couch, looking like what they had become. A family. Mr. Mike. Lucy's voice called from the kitchen. Buddy learned a new trick. Mike loosened his tie and headed toward the kitchen, where he found Lucy sitting on the floor with the dog. Rose was at the stove stirring something that smelled incredible. Watch this, Lucy said seriously. She held up her hand. Buddy, high five. The golden retriever lifted his paw and gently touched Lucy's palm. She beamed with pride. That's amazing, Mike said, and he meant it. 3 months ago, he wouldn't have believed that watching a 7-year-old teach a dog tricks could be the best part of his day. How was work? Rose asked, not looking up from her cooking. This had become their routine. 3 days a week, Rose and Lucy came to Mike's apartment to care for the pets while he traveled for business. The other days, Mike found excuses to visit their small apartment, often arriving with groceries or homework help for Lucy. Busy, Mike said, sitting down on the floor next to Lucy. But good. We signed the contract with the Tokyo company. The one you were working on when I called? Lucy asked. The very same one. Turns out some things are worth waiting for. Rose turned from the stove with a knowing smile. David called earlier. He said to tell you that the board meeting for next week has been moved to Thursday because you refused to schedule anything on Lucy's birthday. Mike felt his cheeks warm. His business partner had been teasing him for months about how much his priorities had shifted. Well, some things are more important than board meetings, like birthday parties, Lucy said, throwing her arms around Buddy's neck. I can't believe I'm going to be 8. Have you decided what kind of cake you want? Rose asked. Chocolate with pink frosting, and can we put a little piece aside for Lily and Luna and Buddy? Not the chocolate part because Dr. Kim says that's not good for them, but maybe some of the frosting. Mike and Rose exchanged a look over Lucy's head. This was so typical of her, thinking about everyone else even on her own birthday. I think we can arrange that, Mike said. Speaking of which, I have something for you. But my birthday isn't until Saturday. I know, but this isn't exactly a birthday present. It's more like a family announcement. Lucy's eyes went wide. Over the past 3 months, she had started calling Mike her Uncle Mike, and the title filled him with a warmth he'd never expected. What kind of announcement? Rose asked, turning down the heat under her pot. Mike reached into his briefcase and pulled out an official-looking document. Lucy, do you remember when you asked me why I don't have a family? Lucy nodded solemnly. You said your grandma went to heaven and you never got married or had kids, and that's right. But I've been thinking about that conversation a lot, about what makes a family. Rose wiped her hands on her apron and sat down at the kitchen table. Mike, what's going on? I've been talking to my lawyer about something called guardianship papers. They're documents that would make our arrangement official. Rose's face went pale. What kind of arrangement? Mike realized how that sounded and quickly continued. Not taking Lucy away from you. Nothing like that. I want to be listed as Lucy's guardian too, along with you. So if anything ever happened to you, God forbid, Lucy would be taken care of. And so you'd both be covered under my health insurance. Rose stared at him. Mike, you can't be serious. I've never been more serious about anything in my life. These past 3 months have been the happiest I've ever been. You two have given me something I didn't even know I was missing. What's that? Lucy asked quietly. A family, Mike said simply. Rose, you've taught me what it means to put someone else's needs before your own. Lucy, you've taught me that the most important things in life can't be bought or sold. Rose's eyes filled with tears. Mike, this is too much. We can't ask you to take on that kind of responsibility. You're not asking. I'm offering. Actually, I'm hoping. Lucy looked back and forth between the adults. Does this mean Uncle Mike would be my uncle for real? Like legally? Something like that, Mike said. It means we'd be a real family with papers that prove it. Lucy was quiet for a moment, thinking. Would I still live with Grandma Rose? Of course. This apartment is your home. I just want to make sure you're both taken care of always. And you'd still come for dinner and help me with homework. Every chance I get. Lucy looked at her grandmother. What do you think, Grandma Rose? Rose wiped her eyes with the corner of her apron. I think Uncle Mike has already been taking care of us for months. Maybe it's time to make it official. Really? Lucy jumped up and threw her arms around Mike's neck. Really, really? Really, really, Mike said, hugging her back. As they sat around the dinner table that night, Mike looked at the scene that had become so familiar and so precious to him. Rose was cutting up extra pieces of her homemade meatloaf for the pets, even though she pretended to disapprove of feeding human food to animals. Lucy was telling them about her day at school, about how her teacher had praised her math homework and how she'd helped a new student who was feeling scared and alone. You know what I told her? Lucy said, taking a big bite of meatloaf. What? Mike asked. I told her that sometimes when you're scared, the best thing to do is ask for help. Even if you call the wrong number, sometimes the right person answers anyway. Mike felt his chest tighten with emotion. That's very wise advice. I learned it from you and Grandma Rose. You taught me that there are lots of good people in the world who want to help. You just have to be brave enough to let them. After dinner, as Rose washed dishes and Lucy played with the pets in the living room, Mike stepped onto his balcony to make a phone call. David? It's Mike. Hey, how'd the family dinner go? Mike smiled. 6 months ago, David would have been asking about profit margins and market projections. Now he asked about Lucy's school grades and Rose's doctor appointments. It went perfectly. Listen, I want to talk to you about something. I've been thinking about starting a foundation. What kind of foundation? Mike watched through the glass door as Lucy carefully helped Rose dry the dishes, both of them laughing at something Luna was doing. Something for kids who've lost their parents. and grandparents who are raising grandchildren. I want to help families like mine. Your family? Yeah, Mike said, and the word felt perfect. My family. Later that night, as Mike tucked Lucy into the guest room that had officially become her room whenever she stayed over, she looked up at him with serious brown eyes. Uncle Mike, are you happy? Happier than I've ever been. Are you? Lucy nodded. I was really scared that day when Lyly got sick. But now I know that even when scary things happen, there are people who will help, people who become family. Mike kissed her forehead. Sweet dreams, Lucy. As he turned off the light, Lucy's sleepy voice followed him to the door. Uncle Mike? I'm glad I called the wrong number. Mike smiled in the darkness. Me too, kiddo. Me too.